next section is the reading test. Now, the reading test supposedly measures your ability to understand passages that are typical of what a college freshman might be required to read. Unlike the answers on the math or the English test, the answers on the reading test aren't always 100% provable based on rules. Sometimes we have to pick the least wrong answer. This means that POE is your bestest friend on the reading test. Don't look for why an answer is right, look for why it's wrong and get rid of it. The reading test will give you 35 minutes to answer 40 multiple choice questions spread out over 4 passages. The 4 passages will include one from prose fiction, one from social sciences, one from humanities, and one from natural sciences, always in that order. Each passage will have 10 questions. Chances are that the questions on the ACT's reading test are the most familiar type of questions on the ACT. Reading test questions are very similar to those on pretty much every standardized test you've ever taken. However, despite, or perhaps because of this familiarity, most test takers take a dangerous approach on the reading test, one that is exactly opposite, as it turns out, to the most reliable approach. In everyday life, when you're reading a passage, you're trying to figure out, what do you think? Do you agree with the author? Do you disagree? So the strategies that most people adopt in terms of reading comprehension, where they read the whole passage carefully and then they try and answer all the questions from memory, aren't the most effective. For one thing, reading comp is an open book test. The passage isn't going anywhere, and your memories and impressions of what's in it may mislead you. On reading comp, the right answers will be consistent with what the passage says, but most importantly, won't go beyond it. Your opinions, any outside knowledge you may have on the topic, your critical evaluations of the passage are all out of bounds here. The goal on reading comp is to show that you can correctly identify paraphrases and summaries of the material as it is presented in the passage. I'm now going to outline the 4 basic strategies that you can start using now to increase your reading score. First, do the passages in the order that best suits you, not the order that ACT gives them to you. If you love prose fiction but you hate natural sciences, do the prose fiction first, the natural sciences last, and the other 2 in between. Likewise, if you're really good at history, you might want to think about doing the social science or humanities section first, and saving the prose fiction and the natural sciences until later. Secondly, learn to see through the camouflage that hides the correct answer choices. The right answer will contain the same idea as the passage, but may use new words as camouflage. Just because an answer doesn't look like the passage doesn't mean it's wrong, so watch out. The ACT loves to seed the answer choices with distractors. These are tempting answer choices that include some words from the passage, but that also smuggle in a new idea. Although it is true that the correct answer can quote directly from the passage, if the only reason you like an answer choice is that it looks like the passage, you're probably falling for an ACT trap. One last thing about the reading comp. Don't try to work the questions from memory, especially those that refer to some place specific in the passage. The reading comp is an open book test. Go back and prove your answers. The writers of this test are exceptionally good at trapping those who half remember what they read and don't go back to prove their answers. Okay, so that's the reading section. Let's review our strategies. First, do the passages and the question in the order that's comfortable for you, not the order that ACT gives them to you. Second, remember that ACT camouflages the correct answers by paraphrasing. So the right answer might not look like the passage. Third, beware of answer choices that look too good to be true. If something directly quotes from the passage, it might be a trap. So don't pick something just because it looks right. Finally, make sure to prove your answers in the passage. Don't rely on your memory. Go back to the passage for support.